Hello YouTube. Today we're going to talk about squats and shoulders. These two things might not seem connected, but they are actually much more than you might think. And the reason why is because a lot of lifters cannot get in the proper position for squats without getting shoulder pain. And this is directly due to poor mobility. Now, it can also be a result of anthropometry and the way the body is shaped from lifter to lifter. Not everyone is going to have the same grip on the squat, be it low bar, high bar. Some people are able to go very narrow, some people are able to go very wide. The reason why people tend to shoot for as narrow as a grip as they can get is that it's easier to pack your upper back and to get very tight if the grip is close. And the wider you get, the tougher it is to tuck the elbows in. I personally like to squat with a high bar, and I want my elbows to be at my side so I can squeeze down. And I find personally that when I get out of the hole and I'm in that position where you start grinding the squat, something that helps me get the bar up all the time is just trying to drive the bar inside my back, as if I was trying to pull it and just bend it on my traps, and I just shoot right up because I create tension in my upper back and it creates rigidity in the core and it helps my legs and glutes push the weight up. But if you don't have a narrow grip, you can't really do that. You can't squeeze the elbows inside. So you're going to lose some of that rigidity, and it might kill your thoracic extension, and you might round your upper back a lot, which turns the squat into a good morning. The problem is that for a lot of lifters, they don't really have a choice, because if they don't, or rather if they do get a close grip, they get all sorts of shoulder pains that then translate into their horizontal presses, all of their presses, and it damages their ability to lift, basically. So of course, bearing mobility exercises, correcting your form, finding the right grip, which I can make videos about if you want, but I think it's been already discussed a ton on YouTube. One thing I've never seen is things to avoid, rather. In a sense, you can prehab your shoulders to feel healthy by avoiding certain things. And the things I found that you should be avoiding, in my opinion, to not get shoulder pain as you squat is: do not follow up your squat, or rather, do not have your squat follow up a day where you're going to use a lot of shoulder girdle. Meaning that if you have a heavy bench day or a heavy trap day or a heavy upper back day and you follow it with your squats, you might find that all of that area is tired and therefore it's pre-taxed. So you're not going to be able to maintain that tightness, and you might have inflammation from the day before that's going to carry on to that day and is going to damage your ability to get into the correct position. Now, keep in mind that I speak mainly about high bar. The reason why is because from what I find for myself and others, what starts to become damaged in the low bar squat is the elbows and the wrists. The shoulders don't get taxed too much, and I used low bar in the past, but I was never very proficient at it, and therefore I don't want to misguide people. So I'm talking mainly about high bar. So that's one thing. Try to squat either after a rest day or after a day where you did accessories or some arm stuff, some lats, some lower back, even though lower back might be bad as well because you need your lower back to squat. In a sense, and that's pretty biased in my opinion because that's what I think, but your squat should be much more isolated than the deadlift. For me, you can deadlift after any type of day besides squats or deadlifts. You can't really squat after any type of day. You need to prioritize the squat more than the deadlift because that position, that back squat position is going to demand a lot from your shoulders. Another thing is, do not jump into the back squat and go straight for your walking set grip. I personally have very good shoulder mobility, but even then, I don't go with my narrow grip as I start my warm-ups for the squats. I go as wide as I can. And I slowly reduce the grip up until the point where I have my pinkies on the ring and I have my narrow grip ready. Why? Because it gives an opportunity for my shoulders to get warmed up and to get used to the rotation. And the more your shoulders are banged up, the more time it's going to take you to get into that position. But you shouldn't be afraid to do that. You can also go with a false grip at first. I like to do that too. Instead of wrapping your thumb around the bar, start with a false grip, reduce, and then when you get to the position where you can actually go narrow enough, reopen the grip, start with a thumb and go in the middle again. This should warm you up nicely, because the issue is if you start the session with shoulder pain, it's going to stay with you. Why? Because you didn't warm up the shoulder, and pain is mostly I don't want to say strictly mental thing, but I have found myself that in cases where I had very intense injuries that my doctor told me was recovered 100%, the pain was still there. But the injury wasn't. What was there is my relationship with the pain. I was so used to the pain being there that I basically psyched myself out and I imagined the pain. And it's the same for that shoulder issue. You're going to go in, feel pain for your first set, and then the pain is going to stay with you for the rest of the workout. So you want to find a strategy to avoid that. Third thing could be to do some dynamic stretches before you even touch the bar. If you like to go and do shoulder rotations, if you want to do some side raises, if you want to do something that's going to warm up the shoulders, you should. The only thing to keep in mind is that in certain individuals, sending blood in the shoulder is going to make it more rigid, meaning it's going to reduce your mobility even more, and it could damage your potential to get in position and create pain. Fourth is to not fall for the mobility meme when there could be another issue, meaning that the pain you feel in your shoulders can be coming from something else. It might not be you have bad mobility. It might be that another exercise in your arsenal is damaging the shoulder, but you only feel it when you get in position because it's triggering the shoulder in a certain way. It might be that your horizontal presses are taxing the shoulder more than you think, but then once you get in position for the squat, now you feel it. Because when you were benching, your shoulders were warm and full of blood, so they were perfectly fine. But when you start squatting again, they're completely cold, and because you pump your legs, they stay cold. So now you feel the injury. So pay attention to that. Pain does not always come from where we think it does. And the fifth point, and that's if you've basically given up and you have renounced a close grip on the squat, which, by the way, I didn't say, but grip stance, and I will be making videos about it, is based on your individual proportions and what you like. If you can go very wide and stay tight, then do it by all means. Not everyone has to go narrow, but for a lot of people, it'll help you stay tight. So if you're the type of person who needs that tight grip to be able to squat to max capacity, what you can also do is replace 50% of your squat work by something else to give your shoulders some breathing room so that when you go for your heavy high bar squats, you can get that grip and not be in pain. You can replace it with belt squats, you can replace it with hack squats, but for me, the best replacements for high bar squats is safety bar squats. They're amazing, they are nice on the shoulder because you just have to grab in front of you. So if your gym has one, give it a try. And that same strategy can be applied to any lift, but as far as the squat goes, it also means that you do not have to high bar squat all the time. You can find things to replace it. And you won't have to stick with these things forever. It might be that you just need to give your shoulders some time, work on certain aspects of mobility or strengthening them. And while you do that squat work that does not require the shoulders to be taxed, they're going to recover to the point where you're going to be able to go back to high frequency squats with zero pain. So that's it for the video. Let me know in the comments what you think. I would be happy to help. Have a good day.